How's everybody? Great. Good. Had some coffee? If not, some tea. I've learned that some people drink tea with cream in it, sugar like Charla. Yeah, I'm a coffee girl. Gotta have it, love it. But you all look great. I'm so excited to be here, all the way from outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. And somebody said, oh, do you know it?
No, it's just warm.
It's warm, yes, it's very warm. It is very warm. I was in Thunder Bay about a month ago doing the workshop, and it was freezing. And I'm from upstate New York, so I'm used to cold. But I'm like, it is May, people. This is why I live in the South. Yes, this is why. But I'm so excited to be here. I met Charla in February, and her heart is amazing, and it's so good. And a part of the heart that we connected over was these women, these girls. And I want to make sure that a part of what you do today is really consider the membership. And if you sign up today, come by my table to drop a card in to register to win an Echo Dot, if that's something that you're interested in. Because we want to make sure that we continue this work, continue the conversations, and shine a light where there's darkness. And so a part of what I want to talk to you today about is some of the times and places and spaces where darkness tries to take over what I call awesomeness. And so we're going to talk about that. But I want to first tell you about a time when I was standing in my kitchen with my children. I have a son who's 11 and my daughter is 8 now. She was 7 at the time. And she said to me, "Ooh, Mommy, your butt is jiggly." And she was like, yeah, it's jiggly like slime. Yes. She's 7, right? She's into making, she was 7 at the time, now 8, but she's into making slime. All the different types of slime. She watches YouTube videos about it. And so I guess in that moment as we're standing making dinner, my butt was jiggly as I'm stirring the pot, and it's jiggly like slime. And in the moment, I was like, oh, okay, thanks. The only thing I could think to really say to her was, it's been through a lot. It's been through a lot. It's been through a lot. And I don't know about you and your butts in your chairs. I'm not going to talk about them, but perhaps you've been through a lot. Perhaps life has taken you through some things where your light has been dim, your awesomeness hasn't shined as bright as possible. And that's what we're going to talk about, because the outside exterior might be a little jiggly in certain places, and you've been through a lot, and it's okay, because awesomeness is you. Awesomeness is you and me. It's us standing here full out. It's not about being perfect. It's not about being all put together. It's about all the flaws, all the things that happen, all the times in our lives when we think we're on the journey. We're on the journey. The road is great, right? We're on our way somewhere. And then this happens. Boom. It just happens. We think we're going north. We think we're going in the right direction. And then all of a sudden, I didn't sign up for this happens. How did I get here happens? This was my moment. This was it. I am sitting in the bathroom stall. I'm in a hotel. I have traveled. I'm out of the country. And I was in a place where I had had a conversation where my integrity was questioned, where my intentions were questioned, where my ability to do what I thought was great work was questioned. I thought we were on the same page. I thought that we were moving in the right direction, and the words that were hurled at me cut me to my core, and I had to get out. And when you're traveling, or even in your own house, the bathroom kind of seems like a safe place to go. I don't know if you've been there before. You've had someone or something that just comes, and the words, when they come, they land, and then they stay with you. So there I am, crying my eyes out, feeling so broken, so alone, and wondering, how am I going to get the courage up to get back and go back and finish not only the work that we were doing there, but what else was I going to do? I remember taking these pictures saying, God, please, let this moment not be in vain. Let these tears not fall from a place that is just brokenness, but let it do something in the world. I didn't know then that I would be standing here now, but I remember writing in my journal, listening to music, watching a few superhero YouTube videos because I love superheroes. There's always redemption, and I needed some courage. I needed to figure out how I was going to get going. And I realized in that moment that I had encountered a stealer. I had encountered someone who was trying to steal some of the gifts, some of the talents, some of my intention, my positivity, and I didn't really understand why. So I went on a journey of trying to figure it out. I needed to understand. This is what it sounds like when you've encountered a stealer. You're so great. I wish you could just be different. Say it different. Not be so loud, be quieter. The just of be different. I also learned that stealers sounds like this. Are you sure you want to do that? It might not turn out so well. It might not work. It might not be good for you. I also started to really think and listen to the people around me and some of the stealers, and it also sounded like this. Raushawna, I need you to help me. I can't do this if you're not with me, if you don't stay close to me. I need you, I need you. And that need turned into me feeling like I just gotta stop. Like the walls around me were closing in, and it didn't feel good. And I was like, I've gotta get better, I've gotta figure this out, because I felt like I had run into this wall. Have you ever had that feeling where you're just like, I can't go forward anymore, but the possibility of going back, of making a U-turn, that wasn't it either. That wasn't it. And so one day, I was folding laundry. Oh, laundry. Doing all the laundry in my house, mating all the socks, and then I ended up with all of these. All of these match socks. And I took the picture because that's how I was feeling at the time. Like I didn't fit in, like I didn't have a match, like I didn't have a mate. Like who I was in this world was somehow not enough. Just like the socks, what are you going to do with them now? But it is in that moment that I realized that perhaps I'm meant to stand out, and perhaps I'm meant to guard me. And I want to teach you and talk to you about how to guard you, because it is in the guarding of you that you can keep the match that you have. You can keep the mate, because it's not about someone else, it's about you and what happens in your life and in my life and how we take those moments and rise above them. And of course, I had to go back to my superheroes. So this is Gamora. Does anybody know Gamora from Guardian of the Galaxies? Yes, yes. I won't spoil Endgame for you if you haven't seen it. But what I love about all the superheroes is that I talked about that redemption. And what I love about Gamora, she is lean, she's mean, she's a fighting, killing machine. But if you know her story, you know that she was adopted by Thanos, who is a killer, who killed all of her family and then took her and created her and made her out to be this. And she also has a stepsister, another woman in her life who constantly tries to kill her, take her out in any way, shape, or form. And while, yes, Gamora is a superhero that is on a screen, how many of us have had people in our lives that are close to us, that say they love us, but at the same time look to keep us from doing the things that we're supposed to do and bring our light? But what Gamora taught me was that I need to defend and protect the most precious parts of me. And that defending and protecting who I am requires me to know who I'm fighting. Who are these people? There's 3 types. The first is a hoarder. The hoarder is a person that comes into your life and wants to keep you close. They love you. They see your gifts. They see your talents, and they want them to themselves. I remember thinking about, gosh, who are these hoarders? And when I was in elementary school on a playground playing with a friend of mine, we were great friends. I still love her to this day. But I remember when a new girl came to play with us, she said, "Oh no, we can't play with her. You're my friend." How many of you have ever had someone in your life that's like, "You're my friend. You can't go to lunch with her. You go to lunch with me. You can't talk to them about this. You talk to me." Hoarders are people that want to keep you close because they see your gifts and talents, and they don't want anyone else to have them. The second type of stealer is a taker. The takers in my lives have come in times and in places when I was getting celebrated or when I was getting ready to do something big and brave, and they wanted to infringe on that moment and make me feel bad about something good. The moment that stood out the most to me that I still remember is when I decided to go to college. And I was in high school as a senior, and I was sharing my college choice with one of the teachers in the building. And they asked me, "What college are you going to?" And I was so proud. I was like, "Yes, I'm going to North Carolina A&T State University. I'm going to study industrial and systems engineering." And that teacher said to me, "You would go there?" Yeah. Really? You would go there? And it stuck with me. The question, the inflection in their voice, that my choice wasn't good enough, perhaps I wasn't good enough, perhaps they had some bias or some thinking about who I was and what I could do. And that taker took that moment, and I remember after that, I no longer shared where I was going to college so openly. I was really particular about who I shared it with and when I shared it. And perhaps you're sitting there thinking about times when you've encountered a taker, when you were getting an award or getting recognized, and someone said to you, they always recognize you. No one ever recognizes me. And they take that moment from you. Or they say things like, "Well, how come you didn't invite me to go on the trip you got? Oh, congratulations, but I want to go." Wait, I thought the trip was about me. How did it become about you? And that's what takers do. They infringe on that moment, and they take it from you, and they want you to feel bad about something that you're supposed to feel good about. They want to take your awesomeness. The third kind of stealer, and there are others that I write about in my book because I've discovered that there's many, but is the minimizer. The minimizer is one that I encountered, and the last time I saw a minimizer of mine, I was standing like this. Just standing there looking. Because in the moment, I could see my minimizer getting joy out of making me feel small publicly. That minimizer of mine was my boss. And we were at work, and we were in the cubicle setting. You may know it. Maybe you work in a cubicle setting. It's very open. And they were getting some joy out of making me feel small, to the point that after the encounter was over, some of my colleagues came up to me and apologized on my boss's behalf. How embarrassing, how hurtful I felt in that moment. I felt such shame. I felt such embarrassment around, how did this happen to me? And I ended up going to the doctor, and these were my scores. And these aren't treadmill scores, even though I work out a lot. These are not my calories that I've burned on a treadmill somewhere. This is what was happening to me on the inside. I was sick. I was stressed. I was anxious. I would drive home from work and barely be able to make it to the bathroom because I was in such stress and such anxiety around working with my minimizer, who was getting so much joy out of making me feel small. And it started small. It started with, well, this is what happens when you get ahead of yourself. Or, you think you're so good, don't you? To, look at me when I'm talking to you. Yeah. Because what I realized with all of the stealers from my childhood all the way up to adulthood is that joy, that sense of stealing is a high. Like, they enjoy it and they do it more and more if we let them. And so I had to turn these numbers into some triumph, into some excitement and joy around me. I had to decide that I was worth stepping out there and stepping away from those stealers, from that minimizer, and choosing to say yes to who I am, to the gifts and talents that I have, because the hoarders that wanted to keep me close knew my gifts and talents, but I wasn't so sure about them. And then the takers that would see me doing good things and all they would want to do was take those moments from me, I decided I wanted to take them back. And that minimizer and the others that have been in my life, they weren't going to make me feel small, but I was going to take those moments of when I felt the smallest and rise and say, well, if you think that you see me in this way, then that means that I need to see myself even bigger. And that if you're saying to me that, oh, well, you think you're so good, then yes, I do think I'm so good. And if I don't think I'm so good, who's going to? And that is what being awesome is all about. It's not about getting it right. It's not about it's all going to go perfect. It's about when it doesn't, looking at yourself and saying, I'm worth it and I can do more. I can be three things. I can be triumphantly fearless, and I can be me and you can be you. Whatever your you is, it's not for someone else to decide. It's for you to decide. The type of life you want to live, the type of person you want to be, being a wife, a mother, a daughter. I started to think about when I was even conceived from birth. From birth. I was a daughter, a granddaughter, a sister, a niece. From the moment the idea of me was brought up, I was all of these things. So why would I let people in my life stop me from being many things when from the moment I was born, I was meant to be so many different things? And I could, and so can you. That is what awesomeness is all about. It's about understanding you can take your gifts, you can take your talents, and even the moments when these stealers come, when these bullies show up and they want you to feel small, that they're actually leading you to gifts and talents inside. So I want you to come by my table and connect if you think that there's something in it for you, or if you have a story or a time in your life, because I don't want you to be alone, and I want you to think about, even as the rest of the speakers come today, who is it that I connect with? Who is it that I need to learn from? Who is it that I want to do life with in this world? So often as women, we feel isolated and alone, and we don't have to. And even the tragedies can turn to triumph. So I want you to go out there and do great things, and remember to take your jiggly butt with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Raushawna. Thank you, thank you.